Hey, Bianca. Okay. All right, everybody. I'm Poi again. I'm with the SaaStr sponsorship team. Used to be a sponsor. Have been here for about 4 years now. So the goal for today is we can run through reminders. We can go through everything, but it's more about how can we help you get the best ROI at SaaStr. So it's some best practices that we're excited to share. At any given time, if you have questions, again, uh, we can go from there. So I don't know which anonymous attendee sent this. We'll get to how much business is done during the offsite events, big party, so on and so forth. It's a good question, which I'll answer live. All right, let me share my screen. So again, goal for today is some best practices that we'll run through. I'll give some context. As you have questions, dump it in on here, and I'll answer them for you. So first things first. Again, these are just some best practices. They may make sense. They may not make sense. If they make sense, implement them. If not, all good. First things first. Arrive early, and please register early. The reason I bring that up is we're recommending sponsors to pick up their badge and go through everything on either Sunday or Monday. Obviously, the folks on this call know that because you have to load in, get your booth ready, but that also extends to your team. If possible, we can't emphasize enough how much it makes it easier for them to pick up their badge, because Tuesday morning usually is the busiest time to register. And as long as they have their badge ahead of time, they can go through our fast lane to make it a little easier for everybody. These questions that you're dumping on here, fantastic. I will get to them. But for now, I'm just going to share some best practices, and I'll get to those very shortly. The next one is, if you haven't already, please upload your vaccination records for health and safety. You can go to our website. Right up top, there's a thread that says health and safety, and halfway down, you'll be able to upload your health and safety records. That way, it speeds things up. We can pre-approve you. So when you register, it just makes it a little quicker. So those two are a little more tactical for your team. Now let's get into the tactics. This is the awesome ProfitWell team. Other people do this, but there's two reasons I want to call this out. One, ProfitWell does a really good job of always like starting with the end in mind. What I mean by that is, if your team walks away on Thursday, start documenting, and if it's okay with you, share with your AE at SaaStr, like, how are we measuring the success of SaaStr, right? Is it leads? And let's get a little more specific. Is it 100 leads? Is it 700 leads? Let's come up with a number that is realistic. But on top of that, one of the things that ProfitWell, I think, does a really good job at is their ecosystem usually is at SaaStr. What I mean by that is their customers are here, their partners are here, their prospective users are here, their free users are here. So they do a really good job sometimes of doing like a welcome kit, a handwritten note. Some sponsors do a handwritten note plus a gift card. Some do something nice for their customers, but those things play a really important part of making sure that you make that touch on site, right? The nice part about SaaStr is it's the #1 event in the industry. So a lot of different people in your ecosystem should be there. So if you can find out which sponsors are there, which attendees are there, and come prepared with getting them to come by your booth and build that relationship, it just puts you at an advantage. So that's tip #1. Tip #2 is, if your goal is branding, if it's other things, the best thing you can do is document that and coming up with, like, how are we trying to get our name, our logo out there? For some people, it's literally feedback on their new product. If that's a goal, how are we driving people to get feedback on a new functionality, tool, module that we're thinking about? So again, document what the end goal is that you walk away from on Thursday, and let's come up with some creative plays jointly to make sure we hit them. The second one, we've hit this home before, but I want to hit it again. Look uniform, look the part. For different people, that means different things. Love the giraffe and click up examples from last year, because it's very clear which company they represent. And I'll just give you one personal story of why I think this is powerful. A couple of years ago, when I was a sponsor, I was with a company called Play-Doh. We used to wear the Play-Doh shirt. And as you walk around, if people see that you represent that company, they can literally tap you on the shoulder and be like, hey, I'm a customer. They can give you feedback, but it's just another touch point. It's another great way for your team to be representing you, but more importantly, for people that want to engage with your brand to be able to engage with your brand. I've mentioned this before, but I'll mention again. The event is outdoors. San Mateo can during the day get warm, but it fluctuates really quickly. So just bring a light jacket, because usually, even though it's really nice, 60s, 70s, 80s, it can still be a little breezy. So that's the second tip. And the third tip is dress for comfort. So that's the third question third tip I'm gonna give, which is dress with athletic shoes, things that your team will be comfortable wearing throughout the 3 days, all day. All right. And Molly and others, I promise I'm seeing your questions. I will address them for you. Hey, Amelia. Okay.
Hi. I was just gonna say on the point on dressing comfy, because we just did another webinar where we talked about this too. There was a couple questions on like, do people change for like the big party? You know, do people like get all dressed up for like the evening events? Most people come, as Boya mentioned, as you see here. So like ClickUp wore these blazers that were ClickUp branded, and like they wore them, you know, in the early mornings when it was kind of chilly, and then they wore it for the big party. I would say, you know, definitely dress in layers that are flexible. Most people don't do like a formal change from events when we transition to the evening events. And when it comes to comfort, it is, you know, outside. So bear that in mind. We do tent everything, but we are built on parking lots. So, you know, like going to any music festival, bring comfy shoes and bring different pairs of shoes. Even like wearing super comfy Nikes can get uncomfortable, oddly, after 3 days, because your foot's just in the same place all the time. So kind of bringing different pairs of shoes is always a good win. There is a mall nearby. So if you guys need to get some, the Hillsdale Mall is 10 minutes away. You know, they've got shoes there too, but it's always good to pack an extra pair.
100%. Okay. Second one, networking. If we want to dive into the brain dates, we can, but the app we use is Brain Dates. I will put like a little one pager we put together in the chat in a few minutes that your team can go through. It walks you step by step. The only requirement is, as long as they're a registered conference pass holder, they can go on Brain Date, log in, go through it. And it becomes a really great way to get one-on-one meetings. If it makes it easier, we'll go through it, but network. And the best way to do that is through the Brain Date app. So I will put that in a second in the chat. One of the other things I've seen time after time with folks is how do you differentiate yourself by through social media? These are some, I think, fantastic examples, both by Bianca and the Chart Mogul team, as well as Vanta, where they share their learnings. So there's different ways you can do this, but you could come up with something that says like guide to the first SaaStr annual, right? Pre-event for attendees that have never been, to be able to go through it. You can share your learnings every day of the event. Like, what were your top sessions? What was tactical about it? What did you like about it? And then post event, you can also share those learnings as well. And those learnings being like, here's what we learned, for example, from the Vanta example of like, how do you deal if you don't get your swag? This is what we did. But it just becomes a really, really, really good way to get some social engagement, as well as pass on and pay forward some of your learning activities. Brian, welcome. I'll let you take over here. So why do we want people to take advantage of the ancillary opportunities?
I'll take a step back and just say, also on the social piece, a couple other ways in which people use this. One, I do know that a couple of brands have reached out about the social cards. If you don't have your social card and you need it, just ping me, ping us. We'll get it to you. But definitely feel free to take advantage of this when you're on site. If you're meeting anyone that's like really cool that you got to meet this person, like, oh my God, I just got to have a conversation with X person. Take that picture, that selfie, and yeah, you can use that as another great touch point. You can combine some brands and maybe increases some superpower there. But to answer your question, Mr. Boya, on why that ancillary opportunity, look, I think this is a big missed opportunity. And why I say that is because the big party is awesome, right? As one example, people go to it, and we'll go to this in a minute too, but people go to it, people go there and they have dinner. And then on top of it, there's other ancillaries throughout. The Midway picnic, it's a great place to go and like have some fun on site, have some games, but do like maybe an engagement with someone that you just met or you plan to meet on site in a fun way, right? Because there's 40 acres here and we use it all. We use it all in a lot of different ways. So you have SaaStr Square Park, you have the Midway Picnic, there's some puppies, there's a lot of different places where you can go and engage in a unique way and maybe make some connections. And I think one of the people that do this right, it's a really fine way to find new people that you wouldn't have met otherwise had you just stayed at your booth. So I encourage everyone, if you don't have a schedule yet for your team, get a schedule together so that you have a few people that are with your team at the booth, but then you have other people cycling around and networking, engaging, doing a brain date, being a part of an ancillary opportunity that allows you to get that extra added with bandwidth and benefit. Toy,
Yeah.
anything else to add there?
No, I nailed it. The only thing someone had asked, does business get done at these? If you're asking, like, does business get done in the definition of, like, do contracts get signed and everything? No, we don't. I don't think it goes that extreme. But look, at the end of the day, most attendees, most sponsors stay around for the ancillary opportunities, whether it's the happy hours that happen on site from 4 to 6 or the evening events. And it just becomes a great way to build that relationship on a human effort, right?
Yeah, I mean, plus business takes place on a relationship basis. Back to your point, Poya, like, and if you're bonding over, I don't know, a game of Bago, like that game of Bago or cornhole, or whatever you guys call it, that will be something that's remembered, right? And it's a nice touch point for later.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Let's move on to the last tip, which is the after parties. So on Tuesday, the first day of the show, the 13th, September 13th, there's going to be a happy hour. It's basically going to take place from 4 to 6 on site. After the happy hour, we have some amazing sponsors that are doing after parties. And most of these are taking place at downtown San Mateo. And what we'll do is share this. If you go on our blog post, if you just go to SaaStr blog post, I'll put it on here. You can see them, but your team can register basically for some of these happy hours as well. So just another great way to take care of the ancillary opportunities as well. So, all right, last but not least, one of the things that historically folks that have been with us for a couple of years, they take advantage of renewing early. Some of them have already done it before the show. Kudos, Chart Mogul, Churn Zero, others that have. Some do it on site, some do it shortly after. There are three main benefits of doing so. One, you get to lock in the best rate. We can absolutely extend. The second one is booth selection. That's always determined by signature date. And then two, you can jump ahead and at least put yourself at an advantage for ancillaries as well. And Molly, great question for the dates for 2023. It's going to be in September, and the dates are, it's just one day forward from 2022. So it's the 12, 13, 14 of 2023.
I just want to add one thing there, Poya. So you may have already spoken to the team here at SaaStr regarding sponsorship at 23, and maybe you haven't yet, and that just means that we're trying, we just haven't gotten to you yet. But I'll just mention one thing. We had, if you could imagine, everyone dealt with inflation this year. We had actually dealt with quite a bit of it, where even some of the vendors were in the same quantities that we were getting last year were up almost 22%. And so for our end, we're trying to give everyone here, all of our partners, an opportunity to come back. We want to do best by you. And we want you to come back, renew. We have best pricing for you ready, and our team's ready to help you with that. Come November 1st, we do launch into a new year, and that new year is going to bring a new fiscal with new pricing and everything that's going to be our point of inflection for the new year. So what I'm getting at is you want to have this conversation with us sooner. We are trying to goal it around October 15th, that we have an idea of what are your thoughts for 2023? This way that we have time to go through anything with procurement or whatever might come up. But please have this conversation with us. We have creative ways to make this happen, and we want to have it so that you all can come back and continue to enjoy the benefits of our partnership. And we see the value of having all these relationships this year. It's by far going to be the largest and best SaaStr we've ever had. And so I think all of you are going to be super excited to see the outcome that's going to happen here in just a few days. But yeah, so anyway, if you haven't had this conversation yet, please take advantage of it. We're trying to do it for you because we want to make sure that you get the best value possible.
Okay. I think for the most part, what else? Thanks, Brian.
Yeah.
I think we've covered everything. So we'll just go to Q&A. There's some really good questions live that we'll answer. So Molly's asking about lead. Molly, over the next couple of days, we're going to send out for folks that have filled out the lead form with their point of contact. You'll get an email. They'll have instructions on there. But yes, you can add what we call like qualifying questions if you need to. And anyone that has access to the mobile device will be able to capture those. But the answer is yes, you can. So look out for an email with basically how you activate those things.
Just to clarify on those custom questions on the lead scanners too, it's not that if you put in a custom question, like it's going to autofill from SaaStr's information. It is for your team to input that information. So if you're asking for revenue stage after you scan someone, you're going to put that in. It's not going to auto-populate from what we've collected. So just want to keep that in mind that the standard fields that are delivered to sponsors via the lead app scanner are first name, last name, email, company, job title, and country. So anything else that you want outside of those fields, you'll need to add as a custom question and have your team fill it out as they scan.
Amazing. Good clarification, Amelia Barra. Anonymous attendee, can a USB drive be connected to the TV in the booth? The answer to that is yes, but it has to be a JPEG. Last time we checked this, videos or whatever don't work. So just keep that in mind. If you're doing a Hyperloop or a video, your best bet is to do a laptop. Done. Victoria, will you share the deck? Absolutely. We always share our decks. If you need more info, past decks, just let us know. We'll get them to you. Michael, great question. How do we add your happy hour to the list? Send it to David and us. And as long as we have some more context, we will do our best to help you promote it or add it. Christopher, does it make sense to have our team? Usually we recommend point of contacts or people running point to be on these calls because it's a little more high level. The benefit for you though is your rep should be meeting with you. So on those like one-on-one meetings where we're connecting with all sponsors, that is the perfect opportunity to bring in those teams. Devin, I saw this. I'm sorry I've not reached out to you. Do we have a media press list? We do not. If we had it, trust me, I would share it, but we do not. So that is done. Lisa, is there on-site parking this year? Yes. If you go into the website on the attendee portal, halfway down, you can request for a parking pass. Our biggest suggestion, please, to ask people to carpool. It just makes it easier so more folks can have parking. The alternative, if you don't want to park on site, is Crown Plaza. That's the hub. So Crown Plaza, you can park there during the day and then take the shuttle in. So just another.
Real quick on this, Boya, because I think it's worth re-noting again. So I just dropped into the chat for everyone a link to request a parking pass. Parking is a little different than last year, and I know, Lisa, you were a sponsor last year too. So for those who are new or who came last year, it is different from last year's parking situation. You do need to request it this year. It's free, but it is first come, first serve based on that request. You have to pre-register. If you show up and you say, I'm a sponsor, I've already got my badge, can I pretty please park here? The answer is going to be no. So it is different this year because there is construction that the city is doing on the San Mateo County Event Center street that we cannot control, but it does affect parking. So you do need to pre-register. The link is in the chat. It's our, to Poya's point, it's just SaaStrannual.2022.com. Go to the attendee portal, scroll down, you'll see a big button that says request your parking pass. We are going to try and accommodate as many sponsors before we accommodate attendees beforehand. So we are trying to give sponsors at least one parking pass for the 3 days. If you need one, not everyone has needed one, so you may get more, but just know too, if you request multiples, the multiples we may not be able to accommodate. So to that point, there is plenty of parking over at the Crown Plaza. There's plenty of parking over at the Town Place Suites because it's in a shopping center. They're right next to each other, and that's where the shuttle goes all 3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So if you need to bring more than one car, just submit for one parking pass. And then the other rest of you can carpool from Crown Plaza or take the shuttle from Crown Plaza in Town Place Suites and park there because there's ample parking over there with shuttles. So it's just for traffic flow and safety. This reason that parking is a little bit different than it was last year, just because there's a lot of construction with heavy equipment, like there's literally holes in the ground. We're trying to make sure everyone's super safe and try and limit the number of cars that come in on site. So great question.
Yeah, and just so everybody knows, if you park at Crown Plaza, thanks to our amazing sponsor Cap Chase, we will have shuttles, meaning Like we will take care of the transportation for you, and that's all 3 days of the show.
Yeah, there's a few follow-up questions for parking that I'll address. So one is when will parking passes be confirmed? The first round will be confirmed early next week. So again, if you submitted for multiples, we'll confirm probably at least one for you early next week. So that answers that. Once we confirm your parking pass, you will get an email confirmation with your parking pass QR code, because everyone gets a QR code. You'll also get instructions on where to park. It's different lots, so I can't tell you right now where you're going to be assigned to park. There's 3 different lots that we're assigning people in to park. So they're all on campus, but you will get it assigned. And Kimberly, great question too. Are you going to need this parking pass for load-in? You do. So please make sure you submit there if you want to come during load-in. Load-in Sunday, Monday is in a very specific spot. So just leave in the comments there if you need a parking pass for load-in.
Okay. Will an HDMI Fire Stick work? HDMI works, absolutely.
HDMI works, yeah.
The only thing, if you have a MacBook, sometimes you need the dongle to connect. So like the same way you connect.
Bring dongles.
But
Bring
A Fire
dongles.
Stick is great because you can just plug it in. So it's a good call out, Alicia, for bringing like an Amazon Fire Stick. I've got one right here, actually. They're really handy. You just plug them right into the TV because they're HDMI. So you just plug it in, and then you can, connect your computer, phone, whatever you want to play on it. And Apple TV works too. If you can, like a HDMI Apple TV, that works too. If you don't do that, you do need to bring a dongle to hook up from your laptop to the HDMI cable.
Yeah.
Good. And to answer your question, yes, you can connect your laptop to the monitor. You just need to bring the cables that you need, but yes, you can.
The thing about there's a few questions like, can the AV team provide it? We don't know what equipment you're using. So, like, it's best to bring your own. They're gonna have extras, but it's not guaranteed to work. Like, I would just, whatever you're using right now to hook up your laptop to your external monitor, bring that with you. If you're on a Mac, bring an Apple one. Sometimes the Amazon ones don't work, or they kind of get a little loose if you use them too much. So yeah, it's always good to bring your own so that you test it beforehand and make sure it works. The AV team will bring some, but it's not guaranteed it's going to work for your specific rig and equipment.
Any list of clinics, hospitals to get the rapid 72-hour prior to the event? Honestly, there's a lot of opportunities here. You can pop over to if you're out of the country, there's a CVS usually on most corners over here. So
not if you're out of the country.
Well, no, rather if you're coming from out of the country, you come in, you may not realize what CVS is. CVS is an option, right? You can pop in, usually get a rapid test done. Yeah. Sometimes, there's a pharmacy, go at Walgreens. There's a lot of them, right? So you can get that done. You can also get a home test. As long as it has a date and time stamp and has your ID on it in the picture, we'll accept that as well. So if you want to get that, you can do it that way as well, where that also is good. And then you may also find, at least they have them in New York, I believe I saw them in California last time I was there too, is that there's a lot of different random sites, testing sites that are sprung up in the local area under tents. You can just go and get a test. So I mean, pretty much anything counts in terms of that regard, so long as we can show a date, time stamp, and your ID in a picture, or some sort of here's my physical printout, as long as we have that proof, life's good.
Yeah, I just dropped into the chat the EMED one that we really like for our team. We use this a lot for production. We recommend this one a lot for speakers. They are $35 a test. It is an at-home test with a lab result. So it's really nice. You don't have to go anywhere. You can do it when you get here even. You don't have to go to the pharmacy and Uber to the pharmacy, which would be more than $35. Right. We really like these EMED tests. It's an at-home test. You self-administer it. They do it on Zoom. They just walk you through the swab, and then 15 minutes later, they send you an email with your result. And that's super great because you can just keep that result, screenshot it, or just keep it with you and show it to our team. And it makes it super quick for them to see that you have tested negative. So yeah, just link that in there. They ship fairly quickly. So those are good ones to get if you guys are looking to get some to bring with you or take before you come. Those are some really good ones.
100%.
Okay. I'm gonna put the webinar deck from last week onto the chat. The reason is a lot of the questions people are asking were tactical reminders we gave last week. So, but to answer your question, yes, there will be satellite registration at Crown Plaza. Really quickly, I'll just go through it. You can do the satellite registration if you want on Monday from 12 to 6. But every day of the event, the show at least, there'll be satellite registration at Crown Plaza as well. So if that's the way your team wants to go, that is another option. Not to confuse you, but I will put this deck, whereas today we talked about how you get the ROI from the event and some best practices. Last week's deck did a really good job of reminders. So
yeah, there's a couple of follow-up questions on if we do an at-home test that is not a lab result, is that okay? Yes, those are okay. They do not need to be done in the presence of a healthcare professional like the EMED one. You just need to make sure, you administer it per the instructions, and then take a photo of the negative result with your ID next to the date and time, and bring that with you when you come to check in. So yeah, any of the over-the-counter ones are fine. Binax is a good one. FlowFlex is a good one. FlowFlex and Binax are the most accurate, I would say. So if you can get one of those, super good. If you're like, which over-the-counter one do I get? Those are really good ones.
I saw this one. I saw, will there be a variety of foods offered, and will they accommodate dietary restrictions? I know Poya has an answer here too, but the answer is yes. Like, we have so much different type of food that'll be on site. Not to mention, a lot of our partners have different types of, activations going, whether it be different types of coffee or ice cream or candy, or not that those are dietary, like full on meals, but they can.
Yeah, I will say we hit the major dietary restrictions. So if you're gluten-free, there's non-gluten. If you're vegetarian, there's plenty of veg options. If you have a hyper specific food allergy, or like my sibling has multiple food allergies, I do recommend you bring, snacks that are safe for you, just because we will probably have to pull some ingredient lists for you with the different food vendors that are coming in. So if you have a very distinctive food allergy, definitely, I'm sure you're used to doing this because you have food allergy, packing your own snacks, but we do hit the major ones like, kosher, vegetarian, vegan, those are all covered off. So, but if you have a hyper specific one, which is not one I mentioned, then let us know so we can try and get some ingredients for you. I know I like to live with that.
Is there a link for the slide deck from earlier? I believe you're asking about the one today. Yes, I will put it so you can follow along, go through it. So just give me 1 second.
And link to previous decks. I can do that as well. We have all the previous decks also. So
we do. And guys, we did live stream and record last week's webinar. So if you missed it, there's a lot of really good reminders in there to Poya's and Brian's point. It's definitely worth a rewatch. I know it's a little long, so we can't quite do all the information right now, even though we have a little bit of time left. It was a full hour last week of important reminders. So we'll drop that into the chat for you guys as well.
I will also call out, in case you have a particular question you're trying to get answered, the fastest way might be to join our sponsor office hours that we're doing. So I have office hours. We're doing them. I'm going to speak in East Coast times because I'm on the East Coast, so bear with me. But it's 11 a.m. Eastern, which is 8 a.m. Pacific. Yep. And then checking. And then math is hard. And then 5 p.m. Eastern, which is 2 p.m. Pacific. So if you would like to join, I'm on there for a full hour. So is our team. And if you want to just drop in, you can drop in whenever, so long as you have a question, pop in, I'll answer. Life's good. The link to to those office hours, I sent them out last week. I will remind everyone and send them out again this week in this week's communication as well. But you just register. It registers you for all of them, I think, so that at least you don't have to accept them all, but it'll register you from all if you register. And it goes from now until, I believe, the 9th, which is the Friday before everything kicks off. So twice a day, here to answer questions live and help if we can. Other good questions? Or if you're afraid it's not a good question, there's no such thing as a bad question, so ask away. Good questions are an event. You're welcome. You're welcome. Whoever said thank you, anonymous attendee said thank you. You are welcome. Okay. We went over a lot, I know. And can you repeat the sponsor Wi-Fi info? Yes, we can. Let me pull it up here. We will have Wi-Fi all days. So there is that. Let's see if I can find the slide for it. Doobie network. Okay. The sponsor network, you'll see it when you populate, when you get there. It'll be SaaStr sponsors, and the password will be sponsors 22 exclamation point. I'm putting it into the chat here so you know how it's spelled. There's like things here. There you go. That'll be the network for you all when you're on site. There's your Wi-Fi. But again, this will be something that we're all going to be on site. We'll be there early. If you want, we're going to be coming around to each and every single one of you, making sure you got everything you need. So I'll make sure you have it if you haven't had this already. And again, this was also, this should be on one of the previous slides as well. So when we share these decks out, you'll have them.
All right. I'll say we stay on for a couple more minutes to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. I'll do a little countdown, but 13 more days to go. Okay. 13 more days.
Lucky
Actually,
13.
14 days to duke them on. So when I say green light, we do a little dancing. When I say red light, no dancing, like that's coming up, everybody. It's in the chat. I'll, for the Wi-Fi, I'll send it to you as well, but yes, it's in the chat.
Do the at-home tests need to be done in the presence of a healthcare professional? Okay, so just again, like earlier, you can do them at home. You can do them right at your desk. You can do them in front, as long as you take a picture of your negative result with your ID, your date, and your time you took it, you'll be good to go.
Yeah, and make sure you follow the instructions for the rapid test that you're doing over the counter. It will, because they're all a little different. I know they're slightly the same, but.
Oh, I see.
I just answered it in the Q&A as well, so you should all have it there as well.
Oh, well, you chatted just us. That's one.
Oh, did I? Oh, whoops. That's
guys. Brian is learning how to use.
Brian doesn't know how to use Zoom after 2 years.
It's my first time with Zoom. Okay, I'm a Zoom newbie.
He's the person that always is on mute, and you have to remind him.
Yeah, right.
He's that guy.
It's all those years. All those years of using.
But thanks for clarifying, and we'll make sure to teach Brian. My brain date's gonna be Zoom 101.
Zoom 101. It's a 101, and it's just for me.
All right, everybody. We'll give it. I'll say another few more. I'll do a 60-second countdown.
All right, setting the clock.
Thank you. Thank you for jumping on the webinar. Excited to see you guys in 2 weeks. We're down to 30 seconds. If you have one last question.
Again, come join me at office hours if you need. We're here to help. Look, we're really excited. It's going to be the biggest and best annual we've ever had. So you have a lot to come. Ooh, questions came in. Okay.
Nothing.
Will the Wi-Fi codes be printed on the attendee badges? Can you share what the badges will look like and how to identify attendees versus sponsors?
Yes.
Yeah, so
give me a second. I'll pull it up. But to short answer the question, sorry to interrupt, Hoya, the attendee Wi-Fi network is printed on the badge, not the sponsor network. You will get like a little like printout once you get there with like the specific sponsor Wi-Fi so that you guys can connect to the sponsor Wi-Fi. I recommend connecting to the sponsor Wi-Fi.
I have it up. Do you want me to pull it?
I've got it. Badges. The second part of the question is, what do badges look like and how can you identify attendees versus sponsors? So don't mind all my tabs open. This is what the badges look like. They're color coded, so the colors also match the lanyards. This is to give our team and our security teams easy visibility into who's who. So you can see the attendee one is a lighter blue, the sponsor one, lighter blue badge with a green lanyard. The sponsor is like this blue-green gradient with a dark green lanyard. So the dark green lanyard will be how we know to give you guys sponsor access. It also at the bottom says the type. So it says sponsors in those big letters so that we know who you are. So that should hopefully answer that.
Who are you? Who? Sorry. Can we, Poya, for you, I saw you pinged it. Can we store a luggage we are going to bring every day with items to refresh our booth? Or what's the best practice for this? Mr. Poya.
You can. It depends on the size of the on the size of it, but as long as I'm assuming it's like you put it inside, you can fit it under your front cabinet. That's usually what people do in the front cabinet, right underneath. You can store stuff. It still looks good, assuming it's not a gigantic one. So you should be okay.
I will say too, we do have overnight security, but don't store anything that's high value. There are other sponsors, and sometimes, other sponsors. Let's see what other sponsors have.
No, it is the best practice. Like all jokes aside, like, you just never know. So it's I agree. Like if you can actually coordinate where someone can bring something each day from the hotel, it might be your best bet if you want to divide up swag that way. I mean, it could work for your benefit if you have a lot of something, or if it's bulky. So yeah, good call out, Amelia, for sure.
Yeah. Right. Like if you're giving away, AirPods or laptops or something physical on site, I recommend don't bring more than what you're going to give away for that day, just so you're super sure it doesn't walk off between multiple parties. There are 10,000 people coming to annual. There's another 1,000 people in production. There's a lot of people on site. As much as we have security, we don't have eyes everywhere. So yeah, don't bring anything super high value that you cannot, physically look and watch if you don't want it to walk off.
Yes. That was a good rapid fire questions. I give you all credit. That was good rapid fire. You gave 60 seconds.
Are you giving them another 60? I'm like,
no, I think we're good. If you need anything, you know how to find us. The caveat of this, most of our team is loading in. So if you have questions, go to your rep, whether it's me, Brian, David, Kevin, whoever it may be. Just come to us directly,
or go to office hours,
or go to office hours to do things at scale. So with that, see you all in 2 weeks. Thank you. Until next time, be safe, be good. Catch you on the next episode of SaaStr Insider Webinars.